Welcome to the Gritty Podcast, folks. I'm your host, Brian Call, and behind the desk, or the helm.
Thank you.
The helm.
The helm.
Is my brother, Brent.
Welcome, folks.
Also known as the Gritty Broman.
See?
Today, we have a podcast with my buddy Jason Phelps and Nick Schmit. My buddies. And it was fun. They came down here. We did a workout in the Mountain Ops gym. And then after that, we did a little podcasting.
Jason's so nice.
Jason is nice.
He is. It's almost. I hate when people say he's too nice. That's such a crap load. You can't be too nice of a person.
Yeah.
But you can be nice enough that it's off-putting.
Well, it makes you wonder if there's like a really mean part of Jason that no one sees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like deep down.
I totally know someone who's the nicest.
It's sort of like
ever,
those girls.
And I would tell people, I think he strangles kittens when no one looks. He's too nice.
Yeah, it's like those girls that, you know, you're like, they're too nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, too.
No. They want people to think they're nice,
right?
But they're either really mean or naughty.
Yeah.
Hashtag
something
every
like
other girl I've dated.
So anyway, we
I know the tap.
We're gonna spin through this little intro. We got some news for you. Jason and Nick, they had a great season this year hunting elk. We're gonna talk about some of that, and we're also gonna show their film at the Western Hunt Expo on the Mountain Ops movie night. They're one of the films being shown.
February 15th?
February 15th on Friday, February 15th. So get some tickets. We haven't put those out just yet. Maybe by the time this show goes out, it'll be there.
Keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out.
Be popping up.
If you can make it, that'd be sweet. It's going to be fun. We're going to give away lots of free stuff. Our partners are all going to get involved. It'll just be a fun night.
Full of raffles.
Yep.
I love me a good raffle.
So speaking of naughty and nice, did you see that Instagram video of that kid that's British? It went kind of viral.
No.
You got to check this out, dude.
Show me.
Okay.
Here, put it up to put it up to the camera so the people can watch.
All right, open that for me. I'll see if we can put it up on the camera here.
Go ahead and give that.
Here we go.
But that's why you're on the naughty list.
I swear, trust me.
Okay,
Well, that's why.
let me start this over.
It's good.
See if you guys can see this.
The audio's coming through. Go ahead and play it.
Okay, here we go. Listen to this.
You aren't absolutely. That's why you're on the naughty list.
I swear, trust me.
Well, that's why you're on the naughty list because you're being naughty right now. So you're gonna be on the naughty list if you keep talking like that.
No, because Father Christmas has not been very nice to me.
Because you're being naughty, so you're on the naughty list.
No, I'm not. I'm on the good list,
Look at this.
actually.
You're not because you ain't being good.
I am on the good list. If you keep saying that word again and again and again, I'm not on naughty list.
Father Christmas rang me last night when I was at work
Yes.
and said, "You better tell Jackson to start being a good boy, or he's gonna stay on the naughty list and he won't get no presents for Christmas." That's what he said to me. So you got to start being a good boy.
And I will do an uppercut to him.
No, you won't do. No, what?
I'm going like this. Punch him. Punch his beard off.
You're just silly, man.
Hey, trust me, I'm not on bad list.
You're on the naughty list, mate.
No, I'm not.
Well, then big. You aren't absolutely. That's why you're on the naughty list.
I swear, trust me.
Well, that's why you're on the
I
naughty
love
list.
that part where he's
You're
like,
being naughty right now. So you're gonna be on the naughty list if you keep talking like that.
I'm on the good list,
No,
actually.
Father Christmas has not been very nice to me.
Father Christmas
Because you're
is
being
not being
naughty,
very
so you're on the
nice to me.
naughty
Tell
list.
the
They-
kid British because he says father.
No, I'm not. I'm on the good list, actually.
You're not because you ain't being good.
This.
I am
Oh.
on the good list. If you keep saying that word again and again and again, I'm not on naughty list.
Father Christmas rang me last night when
I
I was
like
at
it
work.
right here where he
and
says,
said, "You better
Oh
tell
yeah?
Jackson to start being
Well,
a
I'll do an uppercut. I'll do an uppercut to him. And then
That's the solution.
his dad's like looking at him like he's crazy. He's like, yeah, I'll punch his beard off. And he like comes back. Oh. Anyway, I watched that probably 20 or 30 times. I was dying. It was hilarious.
I don't know if it's 20 times funny, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, naughty and nice. It matters. Be nice.
I've got some naughty and some nice comments, Brian. If you want to share some of those with some of the peoples. Well,
Hit me with today's naughty comment. Mean comment.
Mean comment?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's switch it up.
Okay.
Let's do the nice comment first.
Okay, go
I
for
was
it.
really impressed by this one by Stan Stistinkle.
Really?
Yes, and it's titled Gritty and My Crotch. 5 stars.
Wow.
I listened well to the nuggets of wisdom and hastened the instruction of the forest within my pants, unhinging myself from the constriction, stink, and friction of my pubescence. Rewards lead me to a path of unearthly delight. Faster I could run, and higher I could jump, and more undetected I could stalk. A bit of gold bond and anti-chafe, and I was Hermes afoot.
Dude. Wow.
Someone decided to let you know.
Where was that?
That's on iTunes.
That's an iTunes review?
That's a comment a lot of people need to see.
All right. That's intense.
Well, that's intense, but...
All right. Okay. I have a mean one here. It's an iTunes review. It's a 1-star iTunes review. What an a-hole. I mean, really, 1 star? You gotta whack a guy with 1 star.
What I like is when they give you 5 stars and then they talk bad about you just to make sure people see the comment.
Yeah. This guy says he's Montana 1111111111111.
What is that binary?
His title is 1 star. Pick your own battles. It says, if the people of New Zealand don't want tar, too bad. They don't get involved in our business. Stay in your lane. It is non-native and they don't want it. That's their right. I've talked about that 100 times.
I don't think the guy gets the concept that there's party lines and one party wants to kill off the animals. The other one's like, yo, bro, those are animals. We don't want to kill them.
I don't even know what to say. It's an animal. It's a species that's remarkable. And if you ever have the opportunity to hunt them, which as far as animals go that are mountain animals like that, it's pretty economical. You can't go on a mountain goat hunt for the cost of a tar. And they're the similar kind of adventure. But that regardless of that, I don't want to see any animal wiped off the face of the earth. And tar struggle in their native homelands because...
Well, define invasive.
And then that's the other thing is we talked about this. If you missed it, go check it out. Tar are... It's the same thing here, right?
It's not like the tar wanted to be in New Zealand.
Well, regardless of that, we have invasive species in our country, namely on Kodiak Island. I mentioned this before. We have Sitka black-tailed deer. We have brown bear, and we have caribou, all on the island, and they are all invasive species. They're not native there. The state of Alaska manages them as a resource. They undoubtedly have an impact on that environment as they're non-native, but it's kept in check by the tag allocations and the hunting management. So, and then harsh winters and so on. But the point is, it's not an either or. It's not like you can have invasive species and all your native fauna dies, and animals. You can have both and manage it, especially with an animal like the tar. It can be managed. They've managed it all these years so far. So it's kind of, to me, it's just a political football in one sense, because
it's the same thing as them banning grizzly bear hunting up in Canada in certain parts. Is to get certain people to vote for you.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense when you think about it for the tar, especially if you're worried about native lands and animals. You've got...
If you bring an animal onto your island, you have some responsibility to its upkeep.
Well, you have thousands of domestic animals is what I'm getting at. Thousands and thousands of domestic animals on the island. So why not just... you can remove some of them and protect your native landscape. You're only talking like 30,000 tar that live there or something like that.
It's not that gigantic of a number.
It's a small number for the whole island and those mountain ranges. So, and if they want to knock it down, anyway, it was a discussion that on the podcast that I thought was relevant. It applies to our country as well. So I covered it, but note taken. People in New Zealand don't want tar, so I need to stay out of their business.
No, you need to stay in your lane.
In your lane. You know what? The good thing is it's my podcast. So
I know.
I'll talk about
Get
what I
your
feel
own
like talking
platform.
about. You don't like it, go somewhere else. It'd be nice if he could just share that feeling over email or something instead of leaving an a-hole comment on iTunes. All right, folks. Enjoy this podcast with Phelps and Schmit. And
I love that name.
Schmit. That Nick Schmidt's a wild card, man. Got to watch your back.
He looks like that kid in high school that would like shotgun a beer and snort a pixie stick at the same time.
Tell you, I'm pretty sure he did. Pretty sure he did. So,
He
Nick,
was
you're
here.
listening. We love you, Nick.
I love Nick. I had a ton of fun with him, but I
Yeah.
don't think I saw him with sleeves on for the entire time they were here.
He's got a gun. He's got the guns, man.
Oh,
He's
if
got
I had guns like that,
another
I wouldn't wear
gun show.
sleeves either.
Yeah.
I'm just making a note.
So, all right, folks, enjoy the podcast. Stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
I can't
Don't
believe how many
tell
people you're
anybody.
telling. Dude, you're on a podcast.
We are live.
Well, you'll cut that out.
Sure, I will. Sure, I will. So, welcome to the Gritty Podcast.
Thank you.
my friends. We're coming at you from the studio here in Fruit Heights, and I've got Jason Phelps and Nick Schmit. Jason Phelps Game Calls, Nick Schmit, Angry Mountain Productions.
Yes, sir.
Like you're both partner, kind of teamed
Yeah.
up on both.
We're partnered. Well, I am kind of just an employee, a side product at Phelps Game Calls.
Part owner, full-time employee.
Well, for Angry Mountain Productions, yes.
Oh.
Yes, but Phelps Game Calls, I just do what he needs me to.
And-
Sometimes.
just everything he needs you to do.
Let's keep this G-rated.
Most of it. Most of it.
Yeah.
No, we did a workout earlier today. How are you guys feeling?
Not good.
Pretty good.
Stairs are a little bit difficult
A little
already,
shaky.
like 8 hours later.
Well,
Yeah.
he took a lapse in the gym. I've been working out, but I only do upper body. I don't do legs ever. So
I haven't touched a weight since like August 25th.
Yeah.
So it was good though.
Yeah.
It was good. Maybe get me kick-started again.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's easier. Like Casey called me while you guys were down there and said, "Hey, did you work out yet today?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You want to? We got Jason and Nick here. Come on down." And my first reaction was, "No, yes." So I figured I've been gone. I was in Kodiak. Before that, I was in Ohio, and before that, whatever. I've been gone a lot this fall,
it's hard.
and it's hard. It is hard to stay. It's a different fitness. Different fitness.
We were talking about this earlier.
Completely different.
You lose everything you gained.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons, going into the season, I'll put on more upper body, full body strength throughout this till next September. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you get up there and you don't get all the nutrition. You burn more calories than you're consuming, and you're pushing your body pretty hard up there, especially when you're getting after it the way you guys are getting after it for elk. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. And, when you go into recovery mode at night and you're getting your sleep, the body's like, well, you don't need these biceps and you don't need these pecs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need some buttocks,
Yeah.
and then it just reroutes that protein and all of that stuff. And pretty soon from the waist down, I'm still pretty fit. Like I got on the barbell and did some rowing, and if it's hiking up a hill with a heavy pack, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you get into like bench press, overhead press,
Start shedding a tear.
push. Dude, I was doing push-ups. I was struggling at like 15, whoa.
Dude, you lose it so fast.
Upper body, I do. I lose it real fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Train wreck in the gym, but you go out in the mountains and we're still fine.
Yeah.
Just,
Which, it makes you think about things because, at least for hunting, it really isn't upper body intense, no matter what you do. And so I think if you're flashing back to, because it's very primitive, I think, to hunt, but it's also back in the day, you're also building, structures to live in, you're digging holes, you're if you're sort of a hunter-gatherer society,
So much
100,000
more
years
physical.
ago, you're doing a lot of physical activity, not just the hunt. Here we just go out and hunt for a couple of months on the various seasons, and it's not the same.
Yep.
I just was in the office next door, folks that are listening, and I was getting some sneak peeks at some footage captured by Angry Mountain Productions, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we got lucky.
It's pretty sweet.
We were out there a lot.
The only footage I've seen so far is of you guys not killing anything with Born and Raised.
Yeah, that's a sore subject.
Yeah,
We've had opportunities that we didn't capitalize on.
So, that's all I saw this year was the unsuccessful hunt. But that how long were you guys with Born and Raised for
12 days, 11 days.
9 days.
Was it?
Yeah, they took off on the 10th, I think.
It's a lot of days in the field,
Oh yeah.
and then you guys had some real close calls, but it didn't pan out.
Yeah, it's brushy, screw ups, here and there, swirling winds, just anything that could have went wrong did go wrong. Being too aggressive, being not aggressive enough, calling when I shouldn't have, or when we shouldn't have called. There was just, it seemed like no matter what we did, it was the wrong answer.
That's a hard place to hunt elk like we do. The wind is so inconsistent. It's so thick.
And where were you guys for that hunt?
Colorado. Yeah.
On that leg.
Yeah, and it's just
Was it
blow down.
It was elevated, wasn't it? It was a high elevation.
Oh yeah, we were around 10.5 all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I've hunted that, a couple years I lived there, and I hunted it with Aaron, and it seemed like if you can get a consistent win in a unit on a hunt, you can kill an elk.
Oh yeah.
You can kill anything
Yep.
with a bow. It's pretty good. It's when that wind is all over all the time, it is so tough to make it happen.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
It's
And then,
crazy.
you just get so frustrated. You're trying to, we preach, do whatever you need to do to get the wind right. If you have to run up the mountain and come back the backside, and then you get so frustrated by running in 3 full circles that you're like, I'm just going to risk it this time.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, it screws up.
Yeah, we found ourselves just, the wind's right at our back, but there's a bull bugling, and by the time we get there, it's probably going to change 4 times. So we're just going to go at it. And
when those close encounters happen on a call-in, often it's skirting that line where the wind's blowing toward the bull, but just not quite right at the bull. It's maybe 15 yards to his side.
Yep.
And so he comes in because he feels like he's got your wind, but he doesn't really because it's so close.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of guys, they don't gamble in that moment. And at some point, you just got to take that chance. But it is frustrating. I remember hunting with Anthony, and there were certain units or areas where we would go hunt. And we're like, okay, well, where do we go? And we would choose the area where we knew the wind would blow this time, and at this time, like up this time of day, and that like you could put your watch to it.
Yeah.
Because you could kill so much easier in that spot than you could the other one, even though the other one had a lot more maybe elk in it. But it's just, you just learn from experience, you get screwed. So if you can find a spot that has solid winds, like reliable
It's
wind.
huge.
Yeah.
It's really similar. I mean, Colorado, I think we were in a lot more bulls when we were on the second leg of my archery elk, but then we went to Idaho, and I just felt so much more confident because that wind would switch in the morning, come up, at night. It was just predictable, and we had better success there just because not near as many elk, but when we did find them, they were a lot.
You call them in.
We had a lot better chance of killing them.
Tell me about this season and the project you guys have got going on.
Want me to take her away?
Yeah.
So, first off, there's our group, Angry Mountain Productions. There's 6 of us. So there's a pile of us. It's me, Jason, Tyson Drebniak, Charlie Smith, John Gabriel, and Kelly Smith, Charlie's wife. So that being said, you saw some footage. There's a ton of footage. We went on
90 plus days probably between all of us.
So much footage. And that's
more.
What I'm doing now is editing everything for the series. So it's a task.
Yeah.
But yeah, we decided to finally do something with ourselves this year. We've been together for about 3 or 4 years.
Since I started Gritty, it pretty much, you had Angry Mountain.
Yeah, we've had
brand.
A group, just no content. So whatever you want to, one of those cool groups with no content, running our own personal stuff. And we're like, we got to me and Nick got to splash around and landed the free 1.0, I guess. Got a feel for that, seen some of the positive impacts, it seemed to have in the industry. And, you kind of see the writing on the wall, just like you probably have seen with podcasts. Some people start it and then it just seems like it goes everywhere. Everybody's going to do it. And so we decided amongst the group, like, if we're going to do this, let's do it now. We've got the personnel, we've got the equipment, and we want to be ahead of that curve. So let's, try to do this day by day series and put our own twist to it.
Cause I've been watching Born and Raised, which is day by day. I watched, Corey Jacobson's Elk 101,
Destination Elk.
I watched that. That was day by day. And I've watched the Hunting Public do their day by day, their public land whitetail stuff. I've enjoyed all three immensely. I bounce around and kind of pick. I get a interest in an elk hunt or a different hunt, and I just kind of pick and choose ones I want to watch. And really, it's really nice to have those options. Last year there wasn't the Destination Elk. And I didn't know about the Hunting Public. So I watched mostly Born and Raised.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's going to be more people that are going to put out this kind of content, I think, because it's achievable. It doesn't take a ton of editing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I really like all those options, just like I do for podcasting. I like all those options. So as a consumer, it's great.
Yeah. It's real, similar, kind of raw and real. There's not a whole lot of creative editing. It's not you're not having to edit a masterpiece. It's really, lay your footage in timeline wise and cut it up and hopefully develop the personalities. Hopefully we're funny enough and, entertaining enough that it keeps people lured in. Because to be honest, I mean, we all know anybody that hunts enough, like there's, you figure in 24-hour day, you're probably, on elk or seeing elk for very, very short times. And so you rely on that entertainment value or people joking around or the banter to make these projects work.
Man, it's not every day do you capture or have that encounter where you're like, let's say a cougar walks into your like 10 yards, and you shoot it. Like those moments, a lot of times there's no camera rolling, and so you can't share it, or a grizzly bear charges you, like Aaron Snyder and I.
Yeah.
We had the camera going. So it was like we got it. But so often as hunters, we don't. So even if Born and Raised captures some killer stuff and Corey does and you guys do, not every day is going to be that magic moment.
Exactly.
So each group will have some of those really cool experiences that they'll be able to share. And I like them all. And frankly, there's 365 days out of the year.
Exactly. There's lots of room.
There's a lot of days.
Yep.
And, I've sort of binge watched some of the other shows and now they're over and I'm like, man, I just want some more hunting content,
And that was some of the idea about our timing. Maybe getting that. We didn't want to necessarily, run at the same time because there's 365 days. There's the off season. There's, the draws. You kind of see these, the fluctuations throughout, the off season.
Yep.
And so we're like, let's wait for Born and Raised to finish up, Destination Elk to finish up, and then provide, some additional content. I don't know how many days we'll end up with. Like we said, it was probably 90 plus, but we're really going to condense this because we're pretty, honest with ourselves. Nobody wants to watch those dead days that are just dead. And so let's combine them in with a little bit more action packed and we can still tell the story on a chronological order, but make it a little more exciting that we're not trying to force something that
we're still going to show the lows and everything, but just keep it somewhat entertaining.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said for just the raw every day. This is what happened. But I also like I did open season, the gritty open season, in August and then the 1st of September. And I took my film and I just made like a 3-part each week, of whatever I had. And so it might have, part 1 might have 2 or 3 days in that one part. And it's like, we didn't see Jack for 2 or 3 days. Yeah. There's your part 1. Yeah. And then part 2 is we shot something or we got something, part 3. And that way, I was able to I felt like, keep it for me, like tight and interesting on every bit I published. And it just was, for me, I liked it. I liked it because I want people to really get to it and get out,
And that's, we could have kept everything separate, but we're actually going to bounce back and forth while me and Nick are in Colorado. with Born and Raised, we're going to have our own spin, our own edit on that, but we'll bounce to like Idaho. And all right, let's check in with John and Charlie, who are the only other 2 members hunting then. And then me and Tyson go to Idaho, Nick goes to Eastern Oregon, and Charlie, John and Kelly go to Montana. So then we'll almost be doing like a balance between 3 potential days.
Right.
So we can take the highlights and, kind of
It'll be
smash
interesting.
It'll be the highlights and the lowlights, I guess. We'll take the interesting ups and downs and smash it together, but we're not gonna have to force those, boring times. It should be good.
And so this project, we called it Tradition. The reason being,
It's all trad bows.
negative.
That would be a
terrible experience for all animals involved. We kind of just wanted to, because this is our first kind of entry into the world, the industry, right? Mm-hmm. So we wanted to tell our story a little bit, how it's a tradition for us. It always has been.
Yeah.
It's something we instill into our children, that was instilled into us from our parents, grandparents. We went with tradition, and we're going to tie all that in.
Yeah, it's kind of an underlining tie-in, but we're going to, our tradition, I think all of us can say we grew up hunting with our dads. And I think if you dove in really deep to this, we're 6 friends now that hunt together. We're all from different walks of life. Me and Tyson grew up together kind of, but our traditions kind of evolved from hunting with our dads and uncles, and we still love that when we can get out. I think any of us would go hunt with our dads and uncles and the groups we started with, but it's kind of this group of 6 came together, and we work together great no matter how you mix and match us.
Totally.
I think we all wanted something more, at least for me. Like, I hated let's drive from landing to landing, and I have to get up 2 hours before somebody, because that's what my success is gonna. And so we started hunting together and differently in this different style, and it's kind of how we all ended up together. And our tradition has went from all hunting with, and now we're all kind of together hunting as a group.
So, did your season start off then with Born and Raised?
So the first episode is actually going to be Washington Elk Hunt. So we were friends with the guy that Washington does an incentive program for turning in your hunt results,
your harvest
report on time. And so if you did turn it in on time, then you're automatically entered for this incentive tag. It's basically a governor's tag for the whole west side.
It's a mock governor's tag, yeah. And by the time DJ had got to pick, there were only a certain amount of tags left, so it must have been like a top-down list. By the time we got to DJ, he got to pick, I don't know if it was like a statewide whitetail or he had selected west side elk in the state of Washington. And so I think as soon as he found out he drew, I think I got a Facebook message like, hey, is there any way you could help me out? Look what I just drew. So it was pretty cool. I offered to help, and then instantly he said, I'm going to be gone. Tyson, can you pick this one up?
Yeah, he signed Tyson right up.
Which they were pretty close in age. I think they might have had a 1 year separating them. So they knew each other.
Yeah.
Tyson recruited a couple more locals, and then
they did good.
Game plan together.
They did good with it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a rifle September 1st.
Sweet. So you have like, how many episodes do you think you're going to end up with?
I hope we're going to try to force it to be under 45.
It'll be under 40. It'll be under 40. So,
even though
that's a lot of episodes, bro.
Dude, the footage that I have is unreal from one season. It's like,
How many bulls are harvested on this?
7. I think was our last count. And then we have, how many bucks?
4 mule deer?
Yes.
John, Charlie, me, Tyson.
Yes.
Cool. So,
now there's no need to watch the series. You guys know what happens. I just kidding. No, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So would you say about 1/3 of the episodes you're going to have like an actual harvest?
Either harvest or very, very close call.
Dude, there's a lot of like you were talking about, like when you have the camera on, the more you're out there with a camera, the crazier things you see.
Dude, when I watched, I'm not going to say, but when I watched today what happened on that thing you took, I'm like, that is the most random, bizarre, like, and then the close call-ins and the shots made, they're sick. So no, it's pretty cool. Now you guys, when you hunted this year, what are some things though that just pop into your head of things that you picked up this year that were like key changes for you?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like every time I bow hunt, I'm reminded of how hard it is. Like how many things have to come together for that shot to happen. And I mean, some people, don't get me wrong, they are naturally better at it. Like some people are just straight up assassins with a bow.
Yep.
But it is hard. And like, it is mind boggling in how low you can get in those times. And then just like that, it all changes. And
Just takes one.
yeah, it's wild. Like you're the lowest of lows. And then, I know everybody says that, but it couldn't be more true.
I learned I'm not very good at running a camera. I need to hire that job out. I'm 100% in hunt mode, no matter what, whether I got the camera in my hand or not. And so I'm like,
This is
let's
true.
just draw the line that I probably shouldn't run the camera.
Gotcha.
It's humbling. You think you have the answers. Tonight I'm doing the podcast here and teaching people about elk hunting, and then you kind of rewind on your year. You're like, everything worked, but everything didn't come together right. The success wasn't necessarily what I expect in a season. And there, little things, maybe moving at the wrong time, in Colorado. Some people have already seen the episode. It was our last day there. I had worked a bull all the way in down off the mountain. He was coming in, like crazy. And we were both supposed to shoot, like there's a camera running, like both of us, whoever has the best shot. And I'm trying to make myself look good here, but I put my bow down. I'm like, I'm just going to hopefully this works out for Nick.
It came in my side like hard. So
And so I just kind of put my bow down, and I'm like, I'll do anything I can to help. And there was a weird stare down for maybe 15, you probably watched footage, 15, 20 seconds.
yeah, the bull, we were up on a little raise and the bull stepped up.
Nick's kind of, what you can't see in the footage, which I'm not making any excuses for myself. My point will be different, but Nick's kind of moving, Trevor's still calling. And I instinctively thought I should bugle at this bull and draw the attention back. Well, that instantly he spun and he was out. I'm like,
yeah, I saw that. I watched it on Born and Raised.
You never ever want to be the reason why your buddies. And so I'm like, man, that kind of works its way into what I'm going to do next. Well, go to Idaho. I have a bull twist. You actually did see this footage today. He goes to leave. I call him in to 15, 16 yards. He goes to leave, and I bugle. It's kind of the same situation. He's there, super close, and I hammer him with a bugle, and he turns back around. I'm like, so, what was the difference? And so there's time, like, everything's different. Every situation's different.
Two things I think are at play as well that you learn is, and some guys are different, right? But what I have learned is, with my buddies, when it comes to killing elk and being successful, I'm a lot more successful when I'm there with my team that I've hunted with forever. Mm-hmm. So me and Ben and Anthony together kill elk. Brian Call with someone else doesn't kill elk as easily. and Ben with someone else or Anthony with someone else doesn't kill elk as easily. Like the three of us together found ways that it works, and we've been hunting together for so long. Mm-hmm. And the last couple of years since I've been doing Gritty, I haven't had the opportunities to hunt together with them like I would like. And, Anthony's kids are going through school, and they got football seasons, and and I'm getting pulled off on other hunts. And so this next year we're going to try to get the three of us together, but it's been like 4 years.
That'd be cool.
But when you're hunting with your guys that like, it just seems to work so much better than when you go and hunt with someone you've not been with and who does it. It just doesn't know what you're thinking, what your plan is. You don't read each other's minds as well. You can't anticipate what the other one's going to do. And then there's this thing where, to me, because Ben and Anthony don't question really what I do in the moment. They're like, well, we tried. 1 out of 2 times bugling at that bull at that moment is the right thing to do, and 1 out of 2 it's the wrong thing to do.
Absolutely wrong.
And you're like, oh well. And then you have guys you don't hunt with, and they're like, what were you thinking? That can't happen, right? And you can do the same thing to them, like, what in the world was going through your mind right there? Like, that is not.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain amount of freedom, I think, to be you when you're hunting with your core guys. It reminds me of when I was playing basketball in high school, and this coach would put me in, and if you made one mistake, you were pulled out.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you got to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's part of playing the game.
Yep.
And so the coach that left you in will let you gel with that team. There's a trust back and forth. Like, you screw up, there's no judgment. It's like, yep, happens. Keep on going.
Yeah.
But when you're with the team that you're not real familiar with, or you got a coach, it's like, it influences it depends on your personality, but I think it influences me a lot, where I'm like, I hesitate on things I wouldn't hesitate on if I were with Ben and Anthony. I'm checking with other people to go, is this the right move, or what do you think? Because when I would just make that choice on my own, and it's just a little bit of awkwardness, especially when you're with a team that's so well oiled, and your team is so well oiled. Now you're coming together. It's going to create some awkwardness.
I take it to heart because as you mentioned, the team's working so hard. We're going 10-5 to 11-5, back down to 10-5. It's your only thing you had going all day long. And for me to specifically, make the mistake that turned that bowl around, you're like, dang, I let all these guys down, and it just sucks.
But and at the same time, none of us thought of it like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the thing I like probably most about our hunting relationship and just friendship in our group is we are very transparent with each other. Like, if something needs to be talked about or said, it gets said right then and right there, and we deal with it and we move on. I just think it's the best way to be. And furthering your points earlier with different groups, I hunted with a lot of different people this year, and that was something that was pretty new for me. And I like seeing the different styles. I only know how to hunt elk one way, and it's the same way that he hunts elk. And, you're super aggressive and you call all the time, and I'm a terrible ninja. Like, I'm loud, just breaking stuff. And so hunting with people that had never experienced that, and normally just try to sneak in on elk, like find them visually and then sneak in. It was fun hunting, going to their spot and showing them how like we do it.
Right. And
it was effective. And it was that was a lot of fun as far as that whole experience went. But
yeah, I had a rough year, man. I worked hard, and like what you said really resonates, Nick, because you're out there working your butt off, you're hiking all day long, and you think you're going to pull this, you're pretty good, you've been there before, and then those opportunities don't pan out, and they don't pan out, and they don't pan out. And like you said, everything has to just come together in this perfect storm, and it just never quite did.
And you're beat down. And
you feel, you're beat down. You feel like, it's really humbling at that point, and you realize like bow hunting's freaking hard, It's just hard. And
but to that same point, like it's so easy. The times that perfect storm, like
right.
Fast forward to Idaho, I'm not going to give it all away, but it's kind of the writing's on the wall.
Yeah,
we climb up over a ridge. The basin's just completely lit up. You could tell there's two different herds. Cows going nuts. Wind's up in our face. We're like, well, let's just work our way down here. Got within 100 yards of him, bugled, and bam, he's right there. I'm like, well, there was no cat and mouse. There was no let's scare him off. There was no mist. It was just.
There he is.
But then, you spend 10 days in Colorado. We did get some shot opportunities, but it just was never, ever that easy. And so it's just that one time.
Well, archery just seems that way this whole year. There are times when I am like a hero. Like what I pulled off was cool. Mm-hmm. It was against all odds. You're like, wow. And then there were the utter failures.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm an amateur and I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's just, to me, I've been around a lot of the guys, like you were saying, that are just assassins that somehow pull it out every single time. But more often than not, I don't feel like those people exist that much.
Right.
Really. At the end of the day, what I've noticed is just time in the field translates 100%. To success. And those guys that are seen as ninjas often are just more dedicated and stay longer.
Exactly.
And it's only a matter of time before I have that perfect storm where that animal walks in, gives me that perfect setup. Mm-hmm. If I'm out there long enough.
Right.
And so, not that those guys don't exist, of course they do. There are some people that just seem to have a crazy ability to make it happen. And I would say that, part of being that ninja guy is sticking it out longer than everybody else.
Yep.
And
executing when it
counts.
Yep.
Is there anybody that stands out that you hunted with where you're like, that guy's kind of a freak in the woods, like he can hunt?
I'll take
Or
two.
she.
I'll take two.
Yeah.
First, I got to hunt with Dirk Durham, who we partnered with, have a call line with. I think I'm a good caller.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's incredible in the woods.
he's a
you know,
freak.
he's good. He's on point. He's hard to distinguish between him and a real elk, and he's good. There's no denying. His ability to call. Is on a different
when I'm
level.
listening to him, I'm like,
Dude,
wow.
there is not a person on the planet hunting in the woods that would not go to his call.
Yeah.
Chuckle's just incredible. And then I got the chance in Idaho with Matt from Mountain Ops, and then Ryan Lampers joined us in Idaho, and I got to hunt with Ryan through a couple of rut fests, and I kind of we still bounce ideas off of each other, but it was a lot of, Ryan, I want you to kill a bull for this project. And so I kind of let his lead. Well, literally, I just kind of wanted to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
And it's a guy like that. We talked about the assassin, or the good ninja, the ninja that does something that's different than everybody else. And I'm like, I just want to sit back and kind of watch. What's
See
this
how
guy
he
do?
does it.
This guy, a unit he walks into, I'm scared to be the most mature bull or buck in that unit because he's coming for you, and he's usually pretty successful. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play this off like I want you to go kill, which I did. But I'm also like, I'm going to sit back here and I'm going to be the student for a little bit when a guy like that. And so it was a lot of fun to hunt with him. On a side note, I don't think he breathed out of his mouth one time or sweat. He did not sweat the entire time. So that was too. He's just a freak. Matt Davis, he kept up with him the whole time, but he's just drenched, trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
It
Keith
was pretty
like,
impressive.
Lampers is a freak. Yeah.
Yeah. Different level.
You may recognize the name because you're from there, but I met up with a couple buddies that I wanted to hunt with at some point in time, and it all just panned out that it worked out, and I was able to go to camp with them. The Vanderzanen brothers, those two dudes are killers. They're low key, under the radar, and they just get it in the mountain. Like, man, yeah. I will hunt with them again.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was fun.
I hunted with Corey Jacobson for the first time this year, and I only hunted one day really with Corey. I got to go out with Corey for a day, and I
teach him a few things.
Yeah, totally. No, Corey called in a bull in the first 5 minutes to 30-something yards, 35 yards of me, and I just blew it. I was at full draw for a couple minutes, and but it still felt good. Like I didn't feel like I was straining. I felt solid. And the bull had seen me or Donnie. Somehow he was onto us as he was coming around the corner. I came to full draw because he was going to come straight at us, and I was like, I need to be ready. I need to be drawn already.
Yeah.
But as soon as he came around the corner, he just chest on, right? He was going to walk right down the trail that we were on. I needed to be at full draw. So I was. And when he came around the corner, he stopped.
Something was out of place.
He just knew something wasn't right. Yeah. So I'm at full draw, but he's got too many trees. He needs to come forward more. And he's like, nah, I don't like that. And after a while, he walks up the hill and goes around us. And then, I'm moving every now and then while at full draw, trying to get the bow up at him. And I probably could have let down maybe, but who knows? It's always that.
It's a gamble.
Yeah. And if I let down, he may have just whirled away because he was watching the whole time. Corey had him occupied though too. He'd like be fixed on me, and then he'd like, oh, there's an elk, and then he'd fix on me, and then he'd hear Corey again, and came right across the top though. And when I spun on him and put the arrow on him, there were a few branches between me and him, but it looked like I was going to make it through, and he was like 35 yards. So I steadied, took the shot, and it looked like I hit him in the brisket, just not quite high enough. I don't know if I hit a branch or not. And, we tracked him for 9 miles.
Whoa.
And,
jeez.
And then, he wallowed in this wallow. And when he came out, it sort of, stopped the blood. And I think the only reason he bled that far was because on a muscle hit, really, is because he kept moving, right? I bet he got there in 30 minutes or less, that 9 miles, where it took us like 7 hours or something to get there. So we found his bed the next day, about 300 yards from the wallow, and saw where he had bedded. Took a little bit of ninja tracking skills by David D. Austin. The guy's a freak, like X-ray vision freak. He's like, there's mud on this log. I'm like, dude, there's mud all over all the logs. He's like, but this one, I licked it and
it's the same mud,
and it's blood. It's blood and mud together. I'm like, get out, dude. Whatever. And sure enough, he tracked that blood and mud mixture, which looked like everything else, up to the point where it was blood, and then followed it to the bed and where he bedded. And then he had gotten up and left, and no blood after he clotted. It looked like it clotted after he bedded for a bit.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll say about Corey is his calls are just clean.
Yeah, they are.
They're just everything's clean. It's perfect. There's no mistakes. It's like the notes are perfect, and so when you hear him calling, you as an elk, you can't detect any flaws in it, and so it's not the biggest bugle or the gnarliest or anything like that, but it's just perfect. There's no mistakes, and the way his cadence, what I found compared to what I've done in the past is Corey introduced a lot of suspense in the calling. Like there were long gaps in his calling where I was like, I would have already started calling again. And he was just like, he waited forever. And I'm like, and he was able, I think, to get bulls excited that I would normally probably turn off by being what I perceived as aggressive. Corey was aggressive, but his timing was better. He managed to
read their mannerisms.
He managed to like wait. And those bulls would sort of be like, are they still there?
Yep.
And eventually they'd get in and do it. And he just had a lot of patience, and he just sort of seemed to know them better than me, where I'd just kind of sort of beat him over the head with a hammer, and push them and get in there, and and that works for us. We kill elk, but I just noticed Corey seemed to be more often than not, he'd actually pull them in, where we're kind of pushing them till they turn around,
a little more calculated.
So that was it was cool to watch someone else, but I only got to be there like a day and a half with Corey, but it is neat to watch someone, that can do
that
it.
Skill level. Yeah.
So what about the filming? What'd you learn there?
Nick's got a list of recommendations, just first time through a project, like close the hunt out.
Yeah.
I think we do a fairly good job talking and updating the hunts. Trying to add some entertainment.
Did you learn some things from Born and Raised when you were working?
Oh yeah. I mean, they laid out the foundation for us for seeing how much success they had, with last year's Land of the Free. It's like, and being a part of that and watching, dude, I mean, it takes a lot of work. Like Trent last year, 52 days gone. Didn't see his wife for that long.
Yeah.
And every morning wake up with a smile on his face, that camera in his face.
Yeah.
Before light and closing it out at
that's
night.
One thing I think they've done a good job of is they've done a good job showing people the behind the scenes. Like for me, if I go on a bunch of hunts and all the public sees are the fun hunts I go on, they don't see all the work involved on the back end.
Yeah.
It can be perceived as, it can create some envy or jealousy. Like that a-hole, all he does is get to hunt and just party.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of work.
That's the thing, is there is a mountain of work when you get done to sort of put it out there.
Now that Nick's learned to edit and cut, I'm going to turn the camera on a lot more because he has to deal with it. Not me.
Well, and another thing that people don't think about is when you hunt as much as like we did this year, and you do, the traveling alone.
I know.
Dude, I drove everywhere. I drove to Colorado twice.
Yeah, last year. I drive, if it's less than 12, if it's 17 hours even, depending on the hunt, I'll drive it. I'll drive everything. But especially if it's moose or elk or something, because
You're not going to fly at home.
Yeah. I drove all the way to BC to hunt goats with Snyder. I drove up there to hunt moose. Actually, on the goat we flew because it's not a big animal. On the moose we drove. We brought a chest freezer that we put in the cargo trailer we brought, and we ended up having to steal another one from Jeff Lander from his basement.
So much meat.
He had 3 because Aaron shot a moose, and we couldn't fit a full moose in a chest freezer.
One thing I would like to touch on with the camera side of things is that I learned, and it is file management, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's a big deal when you're collecting that much footage. Like, you need to be very organized with your SD cards, and uploading the footage and how you upload it, because we have like
4 cameras,
4 cameras, 12 different hunts, and I'm the one that has to keep all that organized. So I'm like, especially a couple of our group members, I'm like grilling them because I know they don't care and they're just going to upload it. They're not going to format their cards, and I'm just going to deal with that mess in the end. But I underplayed all that a lot, and it's a huge deal when you're doing that much. And then obviously battery life when you're backpack hunting. Yeah. You have to pack 15 batteries in a charger.
Yeah. That's brutal. I got to hunt with Adam Foss up there in Kodiak with Cole Kramer, and learned a lot from them on that stuff. Syncing our time codes on the cameras, getting all the picture profiles exactly the same.
Yep.
We had to do all that.
Yeah, we made our own custom. We looked at the end output, like, all right, if we apply this LUT to this picture profile, it makes our cameras the best. And
and you get all those things synced, and it does create a better product in the end. I mean, it's pretty nice. So
time code's huge. You go to edit on multiple cameras, and if they're not synced, you're like, well, this isn't in the right order.
Here? Yep, totally. It is really nice. I haven't been very diligent about that in the past, and this Kodiak footage is all with 4 or 5 different cameras going. They're all dialed, so they just, when I import it, it's all in the right order. It's like, whoa, that's saving time. Yeah. So, what about elk calling? What did you learn this year? Elk calling.
I don't want to sound like I didn't learn a whole lot. I mean, it was kind of just the same game. We did, locate from the ridges, run a lot of ridges in the morning, at night. Colorado was interesting. I knew what the bark chuckle was. We've used it a couple times, but I was amazed at how many bulls in that specific area bark chuckled, which you can take whatever you want the meaning to be from it, but we've always talked about mimicry, and we would just do it back. And it seemed to be a little more effective than doing so it's like, oh, he's going to bark and chuckle at me or bark, scream.
Yeah, they didn't like it.
But I think it's because it's so brushy there. It's almost like their way of come show yourself. Mm-hmm. So they're barking at you and screaming.
Do you think it's also because I think they have a lot of bulls.
There's a lot of bulls there.
There are a lot of bulls, and there's a lot of, I feel like, teenager to young bulls.
Yep, they're just feeling each other out and identify yourself. And
I think it's just an age class thing is a lot lower there than in some other areas where there's a lot. It's like Aaron and I, we came on 40 bulls once bedded, like on September 8th or 10th or something all together. Just, what the hell was that? It's just like, and they're all like, 5x5s and 4x4s and stuff. And, and it's like, that's a lot of bulls in one little space. And it seemed like we called in a lot of smaller, younger bulls, using just a different kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, it was pretty run of the mill. I mean, a lot of the same stuff, the same tactics we've always used. It just Colorado, I felt like we were maybe a little early. Things just weren't cranking yet, and bulls were a little bit more resistant to come all the way in. By the time we got to Idaho, it was cranking pretty good when we were in the right spots. We didn't have to do as much calling, but
Oregon, for me, when I left Colorado, went to Oregon, I didn't hear an elk bugle for 3 whole days once I got to Oregon. And
that's why I don't hunt Oregon.
Dude, but then once we found them, it was a war zone. Like straight up. And it was different for me because I chased the same herd bull for 2 days straight, and he would let me get to like 100 yards of him, and then he'd bail. Like I chased him for miles and miles and miles, running all over, doing the same thing, and we'd catch back up to him. And so finally, the only time that we got close enough to kill him, I probably shouldn't give so much of this away, but
you can't leave me hanging now.
Yeah, we literally ran. Like, I was with these Kurt and Jesh. Curtis owns Vision Diesel in Aurora. He was the one that didn't hunt this style, so we literally ran, got in front of this herd, and was able, because he was already taking his cows this way, so that he stood his ground then. Because we got within 100 yards, and then I closed that last 100 yards, and I could see what patch of furs he was in, and we ran up to it, and I screamed at him, and he screamed back, and he held his ground. He was only 15 yards, and we never got a shot. It was just too thick. He could see like his brow, like Kurt could see his brow, and it was a really good calling sequence, but it's just how it goes.
Yeah, I feel like with Oregon, a lot of Oregon, what me and Ben have done and Anthony is we just outran the elk. You have to. Once you know we're an area as well. I mean, I've got to say I've hunted this year. I hunted all units I've never hunted before, and there's a learning curve to it. And I was at I think a severe disadvantage when you're doing that, opposed to now that I know these areas. If I go back, I can go right to where I know the elk love to be, what draw they like to bed in, where they like to feed. I mean, I can work it so much better than an area I've never hunted.
That was similar to Idaho. We picked a spot this year that based on Charlie and John's report that I didn't want to go back to my old area, just randomly like trying to plan that hunt while we're in Colorado, like shifting Ryan and Matt, like, no, we're meeting here. Here's the waypoint on X, and we're all trying to switch gears and literally show up with tags in our hands. Like, well, here we are. Like, let's hope that we can figure out where the elk are at. And it did. It took us a couple days.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I got there a day before everybody, and people can hate on it or not. I drove my truck, probably a half tank of gas worth on all the main roads I could, and bugled into every single canyon that night and was able to locate 5 or 6 bulls. And I'm like, all right, at least we know there's elk here. Like, I was pretty excited that there's elk, they're bugling. And then we actually made plays on 4 out of those 6, and they were still in that general area, and we're able to at least play the game with them. So it was a pretty good night to go out and do that. And
that's what we did too, is we just drove around and bugled for the first couple of days, learned all the roads, all the canyons, we didn't even hunt really. We just bugled and figured out which road connects to what road on the backside of this, and which pays off huge later when you actually get on some elk and you know the unit. Versus just, let's just go here and you're on them. I think it pays to do all of that. Understand the unit backward and forward, best you can.
Yeah.
I think it's a game changer, but it was tough. I mean, and it's different in every area. I hunted in Montana this year with Dwayne, and I only had 3 days to do it. And those 3 days were the best elk hunting days of the whole season. And I hunted in Idaho before that, and guys were having great success. We just weren't. We were into elk, and we were into bulls, and we were having them close, but everywhere we went, we ran into a dude like every hour. Every hour. I was like, this place sucks.
Yeah, it makes it tough.
This place sucks. It became a race between other hunters over and over again. And we'd get the elk going, and we'd call, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but we're better callers than most of the guys that are out there, better seasoned hunters. And we'd get into these elk. We'd get them going, get it ripe. It's about to pay off, and 2 other hunters from 2 other directions would now be closing in at the same time because they're an hour late to the party and it's about to pay off. Now they start calling and doing their thing, and they don't know if it's a hunter or a person. And we busted one guy's setup. We didn't know he was there. He was about 100 yards from the elk. Casey was within 50 yards of the elk, and a couple of cows walked right in front of him at like 20 yards. The herd bull's right up the hill. And that guy's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we're like, sorry, I didn't know you were here. Because they weren't calling. They were just kind of sitting in ambush. They were like, you can't call these bulls in. I'm like,
you can call any bull in.
Yeah, they're like, you can't do it. It can't be done. And I'm like, I watched Corey Jacobson call that bull in yesterday. Same bull, And so, and I was like, yeah, I think you can. And anyway, he's like, we need you guys. We were here first. And I don't I don't want to get into it with somebody. So,
Yeah, that's no fun.
I was like, I called Casey and I go, well, I'll call my buddy and see, and I didn't quite know where Casey was because I had dropped back to call. And I'm like, so Casey, there's a guy here. He's been here a while. He's kind of waiting on this group. And Casey's like, I'm about to shoot a bull. Just start calling. And at that point, you are. He's like 40 yards from this bull. It's really thick, 50 yards. And what are you going to back out now and go, sorry, we didn't know you were here, but you were. And so here you go. And so it happens both ways. We crashed some dudes. They crashed us. But when you're among that many people and you're calling, it's rough.
Oh, yeah.
So
we dealt with that in Colorado quite a bit. A lot of people.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm going to find the place I was in Montana all to myself. I had it all to myself. And it was epic.
We had Montana pretty to ourselves last year because someone was crazy enough to hunt in 6-degree blizzards.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was for us too. Yeah, it was snow. It was like a foot of snow.
Yeah.
And it was, I liked it, man.
We had a couple days that were good, but a lot of dead days.
Yeah. The days that were good, though, were nuts.
Tonight, you guys are doing a calling class seminar here at Mountain Ops HQ. What time is that going to be?
7.
So, are you going to do more of these?
More of the elk calling seminars? Yeah, where we can, I think I just average probably 6 or 7 of them at local events or wherever I ended up. And,
you got a great turnout for this. I mean,
they all seem to be, they do fairly well. And, I want to do as many as possible. Just, you try to balance the work life, the family life, the getting out and doing these seminars life, and try to find a good balance.
Yeah, he still works 40 hours a week for the state of Washington.
I know. I keep trying to get him to quit, but he just won't. We talk about that all the time. No. He probably doesn't listen to all the podcasts, but, we talk about Phelps being that entrepreneur that won't jump.
Just give me one more year. Super conservative. Just give me one more year.
I will say, in his defense, he has really, really solid reasons.
Well, and I for a long time, I did kind of both things for a while, but I wanted to ask you, last year, it seemed like, I had a hard time getting in close on bulls and challenging them. They seemed to just want to turn around and walk away every time we got close like that. And, it was just a frustrating year for me.
This year?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like peak rut?
Yeah.
Could you tell, was it herd bull, satellite bull?
It was herd bulls.
Peak rut herd bulls, they're tough to kill, tough to call in.
Yeah,
they just assume take all their cows and run.
That seemed like the situation. Every time they would be so close, and just not in shooting range, or through some brush or whatever. But it seemed like they just circled up and left more often than not.
Yeah, and that's, we ran into a lot of that in Colorado. I don't know if it was a little bit of both. Not quite ready. But Idaho, we snuck all the way into their bedroom. Like we were risking probably bumping him the whole way. Before we set up, but we were in his lap before we ever made a single call.
Was it thicker? Was the terrain?
It was really thick. The nice thing in that situation is that bull was extremely vocal the whole time we made our stock. Mm-hmm. So I knew with pretty good confidence that we weren't going to screw it up and about where he was, and we could play the wind. And we just take our time because he was giggling every 1 or 2 minutes just to get really, really close before we ever made a peep. So it's not necessarily calling that bull across the canyon or calling him 200 or 300 yards. It's doing just enough calling to get him to move into a shooting. We called him a little bit farther than that, but just the least amount of calling as possible to get your shooter a shot.
Yeah. I assume you guys did mostly over the counter,
everything,
public land.
Yep.
And that's just a different ball game, man.
They're pressured.
They're just pressured. They seem to just, know.
And I have a little bit of, it's not a little bit. I have a hard time because my opinion is not validated in talking about calling big bulls. Mm-hmm. I've called a lot of big bulls. I've never killed one. So it's hard for me to sit here and say like this, but you learn from each experience that you have working those bulls. And I've been very close. Some coast bulls. It just seems like Jason said, peak rut is super hard to kill those elk, but it seems like there is 1 or 2 days that those big bulls are just dumb. Like they're rut crazed and just
That's what I'm looking for, but I didn't see it this year.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about earlier. So many things have to fall together, and that day has to fall together along with everything else.
Well, one thing I learned this year that I think holds true is I think I just spent too much time in a bad area.
That's very possible.
I just
too.
spent too much time hunting in an area where there were a lot of people hunting as well, and it was just a heavily pressured area. I spent like 14 days there or something, 15, 16, and then I spent 3 days in another area, and it was night and day. And if I had just spent a week there, dude, we'd have killed elk.
Yeah.
We'd have killed elk. And so I think a lot of times, I watch Born and Raised, I watch them where nothing's happening or it's just not working.
Yeah,
They pop smoke and they leave.
Another one of my problems for shooting big bulls is, like you saw earlier, that big bull that was bugling. That was probably my best chance to kill that bull, but his satellite got between us.
Yeah.
And I'm always shooting him.
Yeah.
4 point comes in. If it's legal, I'm shooting it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's a hard thing. And I think if that's all, was it fun?
Dude,
and
did it look like I had fun?
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
One thing I noticed from watching Jason on Born and Raised was, you get to watch some film. And what I noticed with Jason, he gets jacked. You get jacked. You get so freaking pumped, which is great, right?
It is.
Like,
Yeah,
it's exciting, but you're like, there's an elk right there. He's coming. He's coming through the trees, and he's going to be right. And you're pointing out,
there's a little unknown. I never hunted with Cody, and I don't know what got over me on that hunt, but I'm like, trying to let Cody know I could see him so the camera can get on him. And I'm trying to remember. I went back because of that. I went back and watched old footage. Do I
do that?
What came over me? Because usually, Nick
I was
and
just
John.
gonna say, dude, that's developed over the last.
I don't know if it's because there were some
Maybe just
decent
this
bulls
season.
in Colorado and I got excited or what, but 2016, I sat there looking at the brim of my hat at a bull, for 3 minutes and never even took a breath, I don't think, and then held my bow at 2.5. And I'm like, I'm not trying to make excuses. Were
you just more excited, or was it some pressure too?
I think I don't want to make any excuses, but you go on that Land of the Free project, there's a little added pressure.
Oh, freaking A, dude. I went to Kodiak and I got
how many people are going to watch
cameraman over my shoulder. Any hunt, when there's a camera filming you, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I hate excuses. Absolutely hate them, but I don't know.
I want it to not matter. I want to be the guy that's like, there's a camera, who cares?
Yeah, that's
But
tough.
the truth is, the camera, sometimes I'll get distracted by the fact that the whole world's going to see this,
Yeah, you catch yourself thinking about it for sure.
Sometimes.
It's a thing.
I think I feel like if you're truthful about every circumstance as much as you can be, right? And I've embarrassed myself so many times on camera in that moment that I'm kind of over it. People can call me a choke artist or whatever, but like I said, there are times when I'm a hero and there's times when I'm not. And I think that's just bow hunting.
That's hunting.
That's hunting.
Yeah.
And I don't need, numbers or anything
But I saw you got freaking jacked. Dude.
I do, and that's where I'm going with this. So I've killed bigger bulls than anything we've seen on that project. I've killed way smaller bulls. I've killed a lot of bulls in between. And I think until the day I die, unless something majorly wrong happens, I'm going to be that guy. I just need to learn to control it. I figure out what the heck got into me in 17 and 18 that causes me to get like that.
Yeah.
Because...
No, I've experienced similar, and I can't say there are times when I have ice in the vein on a shot, and there are times where I'm just a mess, and I can't put a finger on it. Maybe it's what I ate that day. I don't know. It's like some of it too is okay. You get out and you have a series of failures for 2 or 3 days. So let's say you miss a shot, or you had an opportunity, and it's like you have enough. Humbling moments that you finally calm down when that moment presents itself in the season.
I don't think it's possible to have a worse year than I did last year. That was where the Schmit show was born. And dude, it was just like you said, humbling, having 3 opportunities at 3 different bulls in 2 hours and drawing your bow back and your release fails twice on 2 different bulls and it goes off halfway back. And then the one I do get my bow back on, I shoot it frontal and my arrow penetrates like this much. I hit its brisket, and it runs off 100 yards and bugles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there was nowhere to go for me but up.
That's what I'm saying
So,
right there.
I
It's
just didn't. I took. There's no pressure.
and
Just-
everybody's seen it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like
The whole
at
world
this
saw it.
point, you're just over it. You're like, yeah, there's nowhere to go but up now. Who cares?
Dude. And
And I feel like that, whenever I post something or share openly a series of events, I just tell the way it is. And then that way I have nothing to sort of cover up or hide
Right.
later. And as tempting as it is, it's just not worth it. And then at the end of the day, what you saw is what you got. Like
Put it all
there
on the
is
table.
nothing else to explain or to do there. So I think it's a really, it's liberating as much as anything.
Yep.
But it's tempting. You could really, really edit yourself to make yourself look pretty freaking rad.
Which I think there's a lot of people that do. But
I do too.
You can't be that.
Even on social media or Instagram, like you can edit, you can just make it look.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you get on the reality is that archery is just tough.
Yeah.
And so when you're taking a shot on an animal and, and you're looking at that guy that you're like, man, he got it done again, only to find out, he hit the deer in the head. And you're like,
Or something crazy.
or
Or he wounded 3 before that one.
Right.
That nobody knows about.
Right. And so hunting is absolutely humbling and absolutely challenging. And I think it's great it's good to just be as honest as you can about it because we all struggle with it. But we do live in a society where, there's pressure no one wants to be embarrassed by their failures. That's not sexy. The Schmit show is not sexy.
No. But I think the best thing is just to own it. Like,
Yeah, you have to.
I'm like, I screwed up a little bit. It didn't go. I've got shots at bulls the last 2 years. It hasn't turned out like I wanted to, but I don't have any excuses. It's just, it hasn't worked out, and, regroup, refocus, and try to make 2019 better.
Yeah. I got to tell you this story. Because I want to, talk about my friend Dwayne, the Rock Sessions failure. We were hunting in Montana together, and I call this bull into, like, from here to Nick to Dwayne, and he managed not to kill it.
Good.
And that was devastating for me since, I'd been calling, and I had just put my bow. I had been holding onto it or keeping it really close, and I had just put it down, went over and grabbed a log, and I was raking a tree, right? And we knew these elk were close, but there's no way they can get to me without going past Dwayne. Like, you can hear him down there. And sure enough, that bull comes just marching right up, and I still don't know exactly what happened. and Dwayne's not here to defend himself, but the bull comes right up, and I think that what happened was Dwayne didn't keep the shooting lanes good. Like, how your instinct is to go hide behind something.
You gotta be in front of stuff.
Instead of being in front of the bush, right? And so instead of using your camo and being in front of a bush, you tend to get behind the bush. I think Dwayne got behind the bush because that's what you do as it's approaching. Mm-hmm. And then he had no shot, and the bull came right at the bush, and then he had to commit to one side or the other, and he guessed this side, and it would have been like a 1 foot shot. And it came up the other side by his elbow on his draw arm. And then it kind of, the thing though, it sort of spooked a little and stuff, but then it just walked right past Dwayne and kept, and I looked down, and there's this bull, and it is walking straight at me, and he's about 30 yards away, and my bow is like 10 yards away.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what? And he's just walking up the trail, and I start inching my way down to the bow, and I'm about to pick it up. I'm leaning over. I'm like, oh my gosh, this might work. And the bull's like 12 yards at this point. And it is still like, it got bumped by Dwayne, spooked a little bit. Like, it saw some movement, didn't like it, but then it like chilled right up, and dumber than a rock.
Some of them are like that.
And my bow is on the ground. And so not only did it get past Dwayne, it comes up, and then it picks its head up, and I was sounding like a whole herd, making it was a sex fest over there. It was wild. It was
Still steamy.
bulls gone wild. And he comes over there and he picks his head up and he looks, and it's like he just was in the zone. He looks around and he's like, okay, I just heard like 20 elk or something and I see 0. And it's like the light came on instantly and he was gone. And I mean, I was sitting there going, victory was like right there. And it got snatched. And the first thing I did was walk over to Dwayne and be like, dude, how did this get past you? Like, how in the world do you not kill this bull?
Was
like,
he crushed?
Oh, crushed, devastated, devastated. And to this day, he wants to defend himself when I bring it up, but there is no defense.
Yeah, it just didn't work out.
It walked within a couple of feet of you, and you managed not to kill it. I mean, that's all anybody needs to know, really. So, sorry, Dwayne, but it was a blast. It was a blast, and that's the difference between someone who spent a lot of time behind a bow and arrow hunting with a bow, and someone. This is what I think. Dwayne's only a bow hunted a couple of times. But it's great I take a few new bow hunters out this year. Makes it hard to kill an elk, though.
Yep. Made another memory.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet. But I don't know, man. I like elk hunting. I don't know that it's my favorite, man. Elk hunting is a suck fest. It's a grind. It's on the fun scale. It's not. It ranks pretty low.
Really? On
the achievement scale, it ranks pretty high. But in the midst of it, it's cool when you have a great call in. But it's a lot of suffering. Yeah. It's a lot of suffering.
It can be a grind.
Even after you kill one, it's a grind.
Yep.
It's a grind, man.
I love elk hunting, but mule deer's, it's getting to be a very, very close second with a gun in November. I absolutely love
That's what I mean.
mule deer in November.
That's what I
want to
mean.
do. I want to rifle hunt elk in the rut.
That's called
You see
revenge.
it's probably
and
gonna die.
redemption. Yeah.
And probably really hard to get tagged.
Yeah, totally. That's a 15-year draw? Yeah.
Well, there's places you can do it over the counter.
Really?
Yes.
Bob
there is.
Marshall, that's kind of over the counter.
There's some places in Idaho you
Oh,
can
yeah,
do
where
it.
you need like a helicopter and like a string of 20 horses or
I'm
something.
not going to say it on this because I'll get strangled when I get home. But
Yeah.
there are places you can do it in Idaho over the counter.
Yeah.
Every year.
Well,
He's like,
yeah, I know about those places. And yeah, that's one thing I got into this discussion the other day on Instagram. I posted a post of me in my rifle elk hunt, which I did late season here in the West. And there's a lot of late season elk hunts around, right?
yeah.
They're over the counter, man, all over. Rifle, late season rifle elk hunt. And just bought the tag, and then hit the road, and then killed a good bull. He's like a 6x6 broken 6.
It's awesome.
But it was a blast. It was a blast. And anybody who wants to can go buy the over the counter tag and go do it. And
Rifle hunting's awesome.
And not enough people, I feel like, take advantage of that. And you can bow hunt it if you want. And it's probably quite doable to kill an elk with a bow where I was at.
Where they're out feeding all day.
Yeah. I mean, the only downside is while you're trying to get to 50 yards, somebody else shoots it at 1,200.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like elk hunting if we can't call at them. It takes the fun factor. I mean, it's still fun because I love hunting, but if you can't make them mad and experience the whole call-in thing and the herd dynamics in September,
I'm an equal opportunity elk
Yeah, I was
killer.
going to say, Nick, what makes up for that with me is it a big bull? Like, like I don't care if he's rutting or if he's not rutting. If he's big, I get excited either way.
Yeah. No, I would get excited.
I hate to say
sure.
it, but I get excited about maturity, like old age class of any animal. It's not even their inches, you know. It's just they behave different.
Yep.
You know, I shot a lot of older blacktails in the Willamette Valley that were not genetically they didn't have the potential to have large antlers.
Yeah.
But they were old.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Old
so
cagey deer. Smart.
old, like heavy horned usually, but stubby and small racked. But there's something cool about an older animal. And so for me, I don't care if it's a rod. I don't care if it's late season. I don't care if it's rifle, bow, muzzle loader, or whatever. Whatever the season is, for me, what really does get me excited is that older animal.
Trying to find one.
Yep.
And it becomes a different game. You know, we were in Kodiak. We were rifle hunting with Leopold. And then I bow hunted my second deer because we got to have two. And got out there with the rifle. And you're basically just sifting through hundreds and hundreds of deer to try to find one that's 4 or 5 years old. It's not easy because they have harsh winter every few years and wipe out the population, right? So it's hard for stuff to get old because it's rare that you have a harsh winter that's 6 years, 7 years, 8 years apart, right? So it was fun. We got into, but you're hunting differently. And then after I shot my rifle buck, I went out with my bow. And it was like,
anything's on the table.
Anything's on the table. Anything. And it's a different kind of fun.
Yeah.
And a nice 3x3 buck came up and gave me a shot and, you know, and I managed to hit him. And that's a whole nother story, but,
you kind of dove into that one.
Yeah. It was like last light on Kodiak with big brown bears all around. Which is at the back of your mind, no matter what anybody says. You're a fool if you're not looking over your shoulder a lot.
Right.
And I shot this buck just before we get into camp at low light, just before we hit the river to our camp. I had the Garmin 0 on the site, which is sweet, you know, and I'm ranging the buck. And Cole Kramer's next to me, ranging with a rangefinder. It was hard to get a range because the grass is so tall. Even he was having trouble with his rangefinder. We're throwing out numbers and stuff, and I think I got it. Buck runs diagonal. And anyway, I shot just under his heart, like maybe an inch under his heart. And so went through both legs, went through his legs, and he's bleeding like crazy and couldn't walk, you know, and then, but he was like shuffling away, trying to get away. And I hit him, with the second shot. It was back because I shot him while he was walking. Because at that point, I'm just trying to get him to stop. He's dead. But it's going to take a little bit of time. And I'm like, hand me that rifle because you got to get it down and you got to get it out. So I had my opportunity to have that perfect shot, quick, clean kill, but didn't work out. I grabbed that rifle, boom, hit the ground. We went up there and then we kind of drug it out of the thickets so we could get it in the open. So then we could shine lights in a circle to see. And we broke it down pretty quick and got it out of there.
Was that the hunt that Mike and Tim were on too?
Yes.
Wanakee?
So that was a fun hunt, you know, and, but it is what it is, you know. It was as it was. I didn't really have a chance to get another hunt with a bow in. You know, it was because the weather hit and then we were out. But it was fun but either weapon, it has its sort of, I hunt in different ways and for different reasons. And I really have enjoyed my rifle hunts a lot. They've been fun. And so you guys have a few in your series. Yeah.
One elk's rifle and then 5 deer. I think we misspoke earlier. My dad killed a buck.
Oh yeah.
On video. So we have 5 mule deer.
So all the deer are rifle and then there's one bull.
Yeah.
I'm a little, I might be a little biased, but I think the mule deer episodes are a lot better than the elk this year.
Well, you guys got some great mule deer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing about out west. We were having this debate the other day. Have you guys hunted whitetail?
Nope, never.
I have.
Never hunted for a day.
I've killed one.
Have you?
Yeah.
What about blacktail?
Oh, yeah. I grew up kind of hunting blacktail.
We grew up hunting on the coast.
Okay. So I just find myself really more into whitetail than I am mule deer. I am.
Take it back.
Sorry. It's just the case. I'm like, I like mule deer. I just don't think they're like as end all be all as all
I
you
like
other
the
Western
country
guys.
that they live in. And I think they're gorgeous deer.
I do too.
I think whitetails are ugly.
Oh,
so
dude.
ugly.
Dude.
I don't know why.
No way, dude. They're just freaking rad. But I like them both. Don't get me wrong. We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. I just figured.
Do I like pizza or ice cream? Dude, I like them both.
Yeah, well.
But
I'm gonna refrain from my last statement.
but if I hunt with a rifle, I would much rather hunt mule deer with a rifle than whitetail with a rifle. And there's certain animals, if you're like, okay, you got to take a rifle out. What do you want to hunt with a rifle? Nick, what would you say? What animals appeal to you with a rifle?
Bears.
Bears?
I don't think I would enjoy much being that close shooting them with a bow. I don't know.
Stone sheep.
Stone sheep?
You said I got to pick a rifle on a hunt.
Mule deer?
Oh, yeah. Mule deer in November. There's just something about mule deer in November I want to have again. Or at least a hunt a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a nice change.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I don't know how else to say it. Like, I feel a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress on archery hunting elk. It's a little more stressful. It's a little more work.
Business revolves around
I
it.
get to go on a November mule deer hunt and just have fun, look through a bunch of deer, relax, know anytime I can kill a deer, but I'm looking for that, as you mentioned, a mature deer. It's just the whole hunt has a different feel to it for me. It's a little bit funner, and I don't know if that's maybe one of those reasons the mule deer is getting close to the archery elk hunting for me, because maybe that's my goal for 19 is just go back to having fun.
It could be part of your freak out when you see an elk too. The added pressure.
I need to make this one.
Late.
Yeah, I need to make this one happen. I need to.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think hunting with a rifle, I don't walk out the door with any trepidation.
Yeah,
I walk out the door with just like, I got the power stick. I
am God.
I have the power.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a matter of it. Just you walk out and it is a different feeling.
Yeah,
I heard Ranella
sure.
talking about it. I think he was hunting with maybe Remy or somebody, and they were hunting the Sika deer or something in some swamp somewhere in the south or something, Louisiana maybe. But he was like, "There's just some kind of swagger that goes out with you when you got a rifle in your hand." After he had hunted for like a week with a bow,
Yeah.
And it's true. You walk out with a rifle and it's like, you hunt like 7 days with a bow and it's the last day and you walk out with a rifle and you're like, there's no stress.
Yeah,
Like,
I see the see one. I see the see one now.
yeah. It's a different feeling. And I like it, man. I like them both.
I do too. I decided after this year I need more tags, and I want to I didn't rifle hunt once this year.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Not for anything.
I've been on quite a few rifle hunts. Now, there's certain animals that I want to hunt with a bow. Bears are one of them.
Really?
Dude, I love bear hunting with a bow. Every spring, I want to be on a bear hunt with a bow for the rest of my life.
I guess I've never done it.
It's just fun. I don't know how else to describe it. It's intense in a way that it's spot and stock.
Yeah.
You see a big black bear roaming around and you just sneak up on it, and and they're made for bow hunting. They are. They smell really well. So if the wind is wrong, you're toast. I think they smell better than any ant mammal on the planet or something.
They can't
insane.
see.
But they're blind as a bat.
Yeah.
They're blind. Yeah. And although they don't hear well when they're like eating and the wind's blowing or whatever. So when you're sneaking up on an animal that doesn't have great sight and great hearing, and all you got to do is manage the wind, you can get to really, really close encounters. And when you're within 15 yards of an animal that can kill you, there's just a different feeling to it. And I tend to feel like I shoot better
knowing it can kill you,
knowing it can kill me. And I don't know why, like, there is a certain seriousness that comes with that moment.
Yeah.
Where I don't let other distractions interfere, because I'm like, you know what? This has to be a shot that's perfect and that is executed right, or things can go south. And so I tend to just, I don't know, not get the same kind of distractions. Now, when it's an elk walking in front of me and there's no life and death, I tend to get super excited and I let different things kind of break my concentration. I think that doesn't happen with a predator for me, which is weird, but I've been that way about emergency situations, where I've been in some situations where you had to do mouth to mouth or lifeguard stuff. I was a lifeguard for a long time. And whenever you have to do something, where it's life and death,
Just ice in your veins.
I've been able to hold it together, compartmentalize, be like, you know what? It's just something you got to do. You can worry about it later.
Yep.
And I, for some reason, I can't quite do that in a non-serious situation.
You just got to get your
the same way.
You got to add some more imagination to your elk hunts, like big fangs.
Yeah, maybe I do, but it's somewhat calming to me when it's actually that way. So bears, I think, are tailor-made, and mountain goats. Mountain goats are made for bow hunting. They just, dude, they're not that hard to sneak up on. They're just not. What's hard to sneak up on are tahr in New Zealand.
I'm doing that in April,
That is legit.
but it's going to be with a rifle.
That's another thing that people don't like to hear me say is if I had to choose between hunting tahr or mountain goat, I'd choose tahr
Really?
after doing them both. I think tahr I love them both. I just think tahr are cool. Temperament, personality
I'm
wise.
excited. Yeah,
You should check. You need to do it. Where are you going?
Gabriel and I are going to New Zealand. Kifaru's sending us.
Nice.
So I forget the outfitter's name. They ran an email.
Way to
by
go.
me.
Way
Yeah.
to go.
Sorry.
It's cool.
There.
I liked it over there. And,
Yeah.
this year I'm going to try to go back this spring, which you never know, they were going to wipe out all the tahr.
Yeah.
You never know, if that hunt's going to be here next year or 5 years from now. And I never know if I'm going to get to go again.
So you're going to bow hunt them?
Same with, mountain goat. I think you should bow hunt them. Yep. 100%.
Can you switch? You can switch.
Any
can't
weapon.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I did it was I had 3 days to get it done.
Right.
So I did it with a bow, and then we had a morning on the 4th day. We had to get out in the afternoon. So I had 3 days with a bow. It was rough because there was fog, and we got on a couple but I had my opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I was hunting with a hinge, and
Hunting with a hinge?
yeah, and that
We're good.
Well, I've killed a bear with the hinge. I've killed elk with the hinge. I've killed a goat with the hinge. I've also wet the bed with the hinge on an elk, a goat, and you name it. Like, so for me, I went back to using the thumb button, and that works well. That's just better for me in a hunting situation.
Yeah.
Just way better. I've had very few failures with some kind of trigger. I never had a problem with a wrist rocket. I just liked the challenge, just like a guy likes to hunt with a recurve. I like the challenge of shooting a hinge. So I took it in the woods because I wanted that challenge. And then when I got there and failed on a few opportunities I would normally capitalize on, I'm like, the hinge is out.
Yeah.
I still advocate for the hinge. I love it. I think I shoot it as often as I can.
I
in
shoot
practice.
one at target.
Yep. I think it translates really well to making you a better shooter so that when you do use something with a trigger, you shoot it better. So I think you should do the goat or the tahr, because for us, we hunted 3 days with the bow, didn't do it. We went out in the morning on the last day and shot one and got it out by noon. And
So ours is 7 days. I don't know.
you do it with a bow
So we're doing tahr and chamois.
and chamois.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you may not be able to get both.
Gotcha.
If
Isn't that
if you
country
take
pretty-
7 days with a bow,
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to start laying stuff down with a rifle to make it all happen while you're there.
Isn't that country pretty wild up where the tahr live?
well, we were in the Southern Alps, and you've got to be somewhere south because that's where the tahr are. Dude, it's every bit as rugged and mountainous as any place I've ever been. As the mountains in Colorado, I mean, it's
Gotcha.
legit country. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Cool.
There's no predators, which is interesting. You're up there and there's no like coyotes, there's no wolves, there's no cougars, there's no bears, there's no,
That's weird.
yeah. When you grow up here, and you go there, there's nothing there. So when can we expect to see, traditions?
January 14th.
Yep.
5
5
on
p.m.
YouTube.
It's Monday
Really?
night.
January 14th.
Yep. Why do you laugh?
There's a lot of editing between now and January 14th.
He's got a head start on it.
Have you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got most of the footage dumped into like the bins in order, per episode. And really, as you said earlier, how raw it's being laid out, it's not super tricky to edit. You just
Gotcha.
got to make sure you're cutting out, like if somebody drops an F-bomb, or if something carries on forever. And
You're not
ever
doing
and ever.
Angry Mountains Productions uncut?
No, we're keeping it PG-13.
Family friendly?
Yeah.
All right. Is it sponsored by Phelps Game Calls?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
I bought all the cameras.
Yeah, you buy the cameras.
Nice.
It sponsors my life, so it's fine.
Amp bought some cards too, but we probably went into the project with 140 SD cards.
A lot.
Between the 4 games.
Really?
Yeah, just a mess of cards.
Stupid.
We trade them all back and forth. Nobody has the cards they started with.
I
chaos.
have like 5 256 gig cards,
Well, that's all you need.
and then I just run.
We're just worried
I don't
if
like
we,
to switch cards.
We're just worried if we lose one, like your whole project's there. Whereas if you
True.
lose like a 64, you could scab around it.
Yeah, for vlogging and stuff,
Yeah.
I just tend to keep the card in for the whole 4 or 5 days. It's for backpacking.
Yep.
I don't have a computer. I'm not going to upload it anyway. You know, I mean, I have had a card corrupt. So it is nice to every day have a different card, like you said, but man, I just live on the edge, guys. It's just a dangerous.
It's not exciting.
I'm a, roll the dice. So, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be
So
good.
are we. We're
looking
looking
forward
forward
to
to
it.
sharing.
I'm a little anxious on how it's received. Like you never know. Like you think it's good, but that's us. And
Who cares?
yeah, we don't. But
I had an absolute riot.
it was fun.
I was going to
making
say,
it.
Fun project.
who cares? At the end of the day, if I've learned anything, there's going to be people who criticize and hate everything you do.
No matter what you do.
And then there are going to be people who genuinely value you as a person and value what you do.
The effort and everything. Yeah, that we.
And you just can't please everybody. We live in a world where everybody has a voice, and you're going to get both. Just be ready for it. But who cares? At the end of the day, dude, you're doing something that you love, that you're passionate about. It's a legacy that you're leaving behind.
Right.
And whenever I think about, I hope it's well received, then I also think about, who cares? It's as much as it is for other people, it's also selfishly for me.
I agree.
I talked to Donnie, and I interviewed Donnie Vincent before we went and saw his show. And he's like, dude, maybe you're going to hate my show. Maybe you're going to hate my new film that I worked 4 years on. You know what? But I'm proud of it either way. It's me. It's something. It's my heart and soul either way. If you don't like it, I guess, I want you to, but at the end of the day, there is that it's yours kind of thing. Yeah. So who cares?
Yep.
Where can people get in touch with Jason Phelps?
Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is Phelps Game Calls. Facebook, I've got my personal page. I got the Phelps Game Calls page.
Gotcha.
Email, website, all that good stuff. www.phelpsgamecalls.com.
And they can follow Angry Mountain Productions.
All the same platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and then our YouTube channel.
And is it at Angry Mountain Productions?
Yes. It's just
Instagram?
At Angry Mountain Productions. So.
Okay. And YouTube channels, also Angry Mountain Productions.
Yep.
Man, you guys got a market on that. Like nobody took that from
nobody
you.
wanted to take it from us.
Nice.
We even talked, we hate the whole idea of the productions. We were just going to change it to Angry Mountain. And then, but then AMP sounds cooler, so you can't take the P. So, we've had like a bunch of internal, it's been a big deal.
Yeah.
No.
These are the tough decisions.
Yeah, the big ones.
It doesn't prevent you from doing like an Angry Mountain hat or T-shirt or something, right?
Right.
Like you can do productions or without productions, I suppose, right?
Yep.
So, no, I think it's pretty cool. I've been watching your journey since we went to film school together.
Yeah, we've both been on a long journey. I think everybody always asks me when we started. I'm like, I think it was 2009 I built my first call. And it's been a long grind. It doesn't seem like it's been 10 years.
It's been a whirlwind.
It's been fun though. I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of hair along the way, but
you're looking fit, man.
I was better at the end of September. It's the Christmas, Thanksgiving. I got all kinds of excuses bags.
He still is very fit compared to.
I was going to say
back
I've
last
seen.
year.
Oh yeah, I wasn't good.
He's in a dark place. He's a dark place.
Today you handled yourself in the gym.
It wasn't great either though, but we got a good workout in.
Dude, you're too hard on yourself, dude. Isn't he? He is his own worst enemy.
No, that's
just.
You nailed it on the head.
If you give him a compliment, he's going to be, yeah, except I suck. It's like, what are you doing, Jason? Just be like, thank you.
Yep.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yep.
I've been trying.
Thank you.
I've been trying.
Thank you. Thanks.
Gosh, you could
I
have said that
appreciate
more
it.
better.
I'll work on that too.
You got any Christmas deals going on for
we
calls?
ran some Black Friday to
you?
Cyber Monday, and then we're kind of in show season prep now, so we're kind of done with the deals until trying to prep.
Yeah, true.
For all of that mess.
All right.
Chaos.
All right. Any last words? Can we close? You guys got a seminar to do.
Yeah, seminar is coming up.
Okay.
If you're around Portland Sportsman Show, both Angry Mountain and Phelps will be at that, and then the Western Hunt Expo. I don't know when you're going to post this, but come stop by, see us.
Okay. The Angry Mountain Productions. When is so this is what's cool is the Western and the Northwest Sportsman Show don't overlap this
so
year.
we can be at
It's like
both.
every other year they seem to put those on the same weekend.
Yeah.
So, yep, very cool. All righty.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks. As always, guys, stay gritty.